But without further ado, I am very thrilled to introduce Ramon, who is an in-demand expert on small business success. He has started 4 companies and sold 2 of them. So he's run the full arc of business ownership. He is a 4-time author as well, with his latest book, Celebrity CEO. And it's all about personal branding. And he's a global keynote speaker, event host and MC, entrepreneur, and best-selling author. Ramon inspires and educates thousands of business owners a year and works with leading brands to help them reach small businesses. He is the founder of smarthustle.com, entrepreneur.com contributor. He's a host on Breakfast with Champions and an entrepreneur in residence at Oracle NetSuite. So we are very fortunate to have Ramon join us. Thank you very much, Ramon. Welcome.
You are so welcome. Good to be here. Can you hear me okay, Christina?
Absolutely, loud and clear.
Awesome. Can we just level set and stop real quick? First, Blake and the team, thanks for having me. Can we thank Christina? Can we just, if we were on Clubhouse, I'd say mute your mics. So I guess just like put clap, clap, or put she rocks in the chat. Let me see that. Do that. Good, good, good. Yes. Okay. I just want to make sure people there. Blake put she rocks. Love it. Love it. Love it. What a human he added. All right. All right. All right. Good. Indeed. But Christina, thanks for all your hard work. I think I saved, I think we've exchanged 123 emails back and forth. And so thank you for that. Let me put my timer on real quick. I believe, Christina, we still have about 20 minutes, I believe. I just want to make sure things are
you're good.
Level
you're
set.
Good.
Put my timer on, so I'll keep track of that. But I'm glad to be here. And I hope today, as we go toward the end of our discussion, I don't bring down the discussion. In fact, I know I won't. But I do want to say something that's very important to me to say over the last few months to level set with everyone here. Why are we here? Why are we doing this? Why are we at this amazing event? Why are we doing this, ladies and gentlemen, Flippa community and others who may be here? Why? We are doing this to earn a living today. I hope we need to eat and pay rent or mortgage, right? We need money to live in the society. We are doing this ideally to build a legacy for our family. Yes. We are doing this ideally to have money for retirement. So when we're old and croaking, whatever it is, we have some money for that stage of life. And I assume many of us are doing this to give money to others. This is the purpose God put us here on this earth. We don't just want to be selfish humans of ourselves, but we should have some personal mission in life with which we're doing that. And yes, very quickly, I'm going to get to the tactics and best practices, some things I've learned over the years of building a few businesses. But I hope this helps you understand the lens with which I'm speaking. If that helps you, and again, if you don't want to chat, some of you could be with your kids and all those things. Hey, thank you. Good. I see the chat coming in. But if that's helping you, if it resonates, can you just type the word legacy in there so I can understand who I'm talking to you? Maybe some people are here just for a quick buck, and that's fine. That's okay. Flippa can help with that too. But I wonder who's here for a legacy, who's here to build something bigger than themselves, who wants to give back, who wants to provide for their children, who wants to leave the earth in a better place. Awesome. I see Brian and Stacy and so many, Tricia and so many, Ernesto. Thank you, Ernesto. All right. Donnie and many others. Good. So with that, let's jump into a few things. Time goes by so fast when we're having fun, and I'll dive into a few things I've learned over the years. Indeed, Ava, thank you, and Daniel. So here's a few things. As Christina kindly said, I've started a few small businesses and sold 2 of them. One was an event business. So I was doing, and I forgot the date. I can't remember the dates. If I pause to do the math, the clock will run out. So it's hard to do the math in my head. But my 3rd business was an event business. And that I sold to, some of you may be old enough or maybe back in the social day blog world. So I sold that to them back in the day, some years ago. That was my event business, an event bringing together kind of small business owners and then experts in the New York City area. We had hundreds and hundreds of people, and I sold that business to them. And I'm going to get to how that worked in a bit. I'm going to talk to some key points I've learned. Then the second business I had, I started Small Biz. All right, everyone was blog world, smallbiztechnology.com. I bought the domain for that in April 1999. That was after playing probably with Prodigy, AOL. They probably were gone by then, right? Some of the blogging platforms, like Blogger.com and other platforms like that. So smallbiztechnology.com was birthed, and I sold that about 2 to 3 years ago, I believe. It was 20 years to the date, I believe, or 19, 20 years to the date. So it would have been in 2020, I believe I sold that. Yeah, 2020. So that's my journey of starting businesses and selling them. And the reason I say that, because now that I own Smart Hustle and looking at the journey of Smart Hustle, yes, if we can keep it and have cash flow, that's great. But I have no problem also selling that. Not in a bad way, not like I'm selling out, like I don't want to serve small businesses. But remember what I said, we're trying to earn a living to provide for us today. And hopefully by God's grace, some of you are out, or all of you are out of the survival mode, right? Y'all may know what I mean. How many have been in the survival mode before? Type the word survival. I'm curious who's been in survival mode where you're just trying to buy diapers for your kid. You're trying to just pay rent. You're scrambling to, change the oil in your car. Anybody been in survival mode before? Good. Okay. So people are picking up what I'm dropping. Good. And then hopefully many of you, because you're in the Flipper community full of ballers, we're in continuation mode, right? I love it, Ava. Thank you. We're in that mode of we have the system maybe in place and we're moving along. So that's another phase. But then we also want to be in legacy mode, giving to others and contributing because things are okay. That's right, ballers, right? So this is some modes we may want to be in as we're looking at starting businesses, running businesses, and hopefully selling some businesses. And by the way, it's even though I've sold businesses, it's not just selling. It's also, some of you may be interested in buying businesses as well. And we'll look at that. By the way, I'm going to sell Flipper on Flipper. That would be cool, Blake, to sell Flipper on Flipper. That's weird. Anyway, we'll talk about that later, but just came to mind. Sometimes I go off track. All right. So how do we do this? One is systems and processes. This is important. Many of you probably know this. Many of you probably think that. But systems and process is important. 2 books I want to refer to. These are not my books. I'm not selling you anything, but I do want to give a shout out to Gino Wickman, his book, Traction. Those of you who don't know that book is one to keep in mind. I just want to shout out a few books here. And the other one is my friend Elaine Fodell talks about the $1 million one-person business, which I bet many of you are in that category. But the reason why systems and processes are in place, because if you're looking to build a legacy and sell your business, you don't want to be selling it to someone who's giving you a job. You feel me? You don't want to be selling your business and then you have a job where you have to come a 9 to 5 because without you, the business can't work. So you don't want that. That's why you want to build these systems in place that you can sell it, and you may have to stay around for a while, but you do want to exit to do some other things. And I see some people in the chat asking about the books. You can just DM me on Instagram, best books. My Instagram is Ramon Ray Smart Hustle, Ramon Ray Smart Hustle. Just DM me on Instagram and I'll send you a list of some of the 10 best books I like. So point being is that that's one. What are the clear systems in place you have that a buyer will want to acquire you? And now, why is it? I recall when I sold smallbiztechnology.com, the benefit of that, we had some systems in place. Now, we were, quote unquote, just a blog, sure, but the systems were pretty narrow, right? The systems were pretty clearly defined. We have press releases coming in, or some system to get the headline or contents we want. We had a team member, a system for that. Then we do our blog post on WordPress. And then from there, advertisers see that, DM us or send us messages to do ads. And that's it. That's our system in place. Or as Jim Collins, another one I'll refer to, I love books. Another one is Jim Collins' Flywheel, right? Some of you may have read his book already. Jim Collins' Flywheel is a great little monograph, he calls it, which talks about the aspect of what's the flywheel of your business. So this systems and processes and flywheel, in my opinion, is really, really important part of doing that. I see some people are saying that I have that issue. I'm doing too many things. Indeed, I have that same problem as well. So my point is, these are the distractions we face, right, in business owners. And as entrepreneurs, this is what we do. And one thing I term this, is it a distraction or is it an investment? Really thing. And maybe we'll do another talk on distractions on that as well. So that's one. Number 2, can the buyer plug and play into what you're doing? And again, there's many different iterances of this, many different ways to do it, but you'll find that on Shark Tank, they say that a lot, even though those deals may be different, but it's an interesting model because on Shark Tank, what do they want to do? They often don't like the deals where they have to do a lot of work. They're not in business to do a lot of work. They're in business to take their genius, add gas onto your fire, the fire you built. They want to add gas onto their fire, onto your fire, and make it bigger. That's what they're trying to do. So your business, you may want to look at in the same way. Can the buyer plug and play with what you're offering? If not, that's more work and they might as well build the thing themselves. Oftentimes, they're buying because they want to be able to plug and play. And I'm getting some other things here in a minute. Thank you, Manuel, for putting that up. Jim Collins, Flywheel, really good book. You can get it on Amazon for however much it is, right? Good book. Or again, DM me, best books on Instagram. So another thing to think about, and I think about that for many of the smaller businesses, is how tightly is your brand aligned with your company? And this is one challenge I faced in several of the companies I've done because I'm an influencer, as they call it. I'm a creator. I'm a content guy. You know what I mean? Is that the Ramon Ray brand, my face, my image, my personality is really tight with my brand. If you think about Starbucks, nobody gives a darn who started Starbucks or the executives. You just want your $4 cup of coffee, right? But in the case of Smart Hustle and some of the brands that I've created, I'm closely aligned to it. So oftentimes when I've done them, I've had to kind of stay on for a bit if I want my name still involved in there, even though I may not own it, because Ramon Ray brand, that's an asset as well. So you want to think with that as you're building your business, whether you have an e-commerce business or a blog or otherwise, is the brand you, I'm looking here at Ava, looking here at, other Ernesto and others, Manuela, is your names or your personas tied to that brand? If it is, that's not bad, but it could be a negative thing. Another thing to think about as you're looking to especially sell your business, I'll talk about that because that's what I've done, is do you have an A team in place? Now, here's the thing. Oftentimes a buyer won't need your team. Don't tell your team that. They won't need your team. They have their team. That's where they're buying it. In many cases, especially for the blogs and other things, for economies of scale. They just want the infrastructure you built, the customers you built, they'll plug and play it into their system and scale it, right? But sometimes you may have a key team member on your team who is an integral part of the business building process. So this is something you want to think about as you're growing your business. Do you have an A team in place? Now, keep in mind, the other side of that, it could be a negative thing because if you have that star player in place, that's the linchpin. Another book, Seth Godin has a great book called Linchpin. That's the linchpin of your business. Then you could be in place because the buyer's thinking, well, if I buy your company and this linchpin leaves, I'm screwed. So you want to think about that. So I'm sorry that there's not always a pat answer. Some of the things are nuanced and gray, but it gives you something to think about. And what I meant to say earlier is that build for the future, yet act in the present. And what I mean is that as you're building your business today, build to have it featured on Flippa and selling it or buying it, great. But you also have to act in the moment. You have to wonder, who is the team? You have to pay your taxes. You have to do legal due diligence. You have to make sure your systems and processes in place. You have to make sure you have good customer service, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Another thing that's very important that you should do as you're looking to build a business that's sellable, or you're looking to buy a business, is be absolutely clear, who is your customer? If the buyer comes to you and says, well, who's your buyer persona, as I think Diana just touched on and talked about, you're like, oh, we focus on Black guys who wear glasses and shaved head and blue sweaters and white shirts. We also focus on Hispanic men who are the age of 20 to 25. Oh, by the way, we also focus on Korean girls who are 70 years old to 80. Oh, by the way, we also focus on people who are in Kenya too. That's another market of ours. Woo! Who's your core market? And I was just getting into demographic stuff, but what about psychographic? You say sports fans, then you say people who want to glam their hair. And I'm sure none of you are doing that, but that's something to think about. You want to be able to tell that buyer, here's who our ideal customer is. Here's the customer profiles we have, because then as they're looking to do their due diligence, they can map that perfectly into what they want to do. So understanding who that customer is very important, because again, you'll hear Kevin O'Leary talk about this quite a bit on Shark Tank. Well, he's kind of all over the place, but sometimes we'll say, oh, you have a flower business. I don't have a flower business, but I can connect your flower business to my wedding business. And my wedding business connects to my card business. My card business connects to my wine business. So it's a nice little circle. So as you're doing that as well, you want to consider, is this useful for yourself? You want to consider this aspect of the customer. Let me take a 10-second break and do a level check. Are y'all picking up what I'm dropping down? Is this helpful for you? If this is helpful, type the word helpful. If this is not helpful, I want you to type, Dear Christina, please yank this dude off the stage right now. Let's see what people say. Okay, good. People are saying helpful. Okay, good. I don't think the no is in the positive. Okay, good, good, good. All right. It's amazing how Google Android phones, they hear you and they come to life sometime. Good. I'm glad it was helpful. Nobody said, Christina, hey, dear Christina, yank this guy off the stage. That's good. Maybe they DM'd you in private though. So let's move along here. We got about 7 more minutes to go. All right. So thank you, Andy. Thank you, everybody. Good. Another thing is build relationships with your future buyer as you grow and know what they want. This is how I sold smallbiztechnology.com. Not exactly, it wasn't a perfect playbook, but selling smallbiztechnology.com was a friend recommended me to somebody else who I happen to know. I just forgot about them over the years. So my point is, part of sales sometimes, again, one good thing about Flippa is that it's a marketplace that tries to level the playing field. And Flippa, again, I'm not Blake, so forgive me if I get this wrong, Flippa team, but Flippa's in the business in a way of building trust, transparency, and all those things, right? Especially for people who don't know each other. But one way to add to that, thank you, Blake, one way to add to that is also the aspect of you build the relationships ahead of time. So let's call it a name here. Let's say Andy. And Andy, if you and I know each other, forgive me, but I don't think I know Andy. So let's say I'm trying to sell my business to Andy. I know Andy's the perfect person for me. But let's say, for example, though, that Andy doesn't know me. Andy don't know Ramon Ray from a hole in the wall, right? But over time, maybe I'm meeting with Andy. Over time, I see him at South by Southwest. He doesn't even know I have a business to sell him yet. Over time, I'm meeting him at Social Media Marketing World. Over time, I'm integrating with him at the Flippa event. You feel what I'm saying? Now, at least, whether he wants to buy my business or not for the transactional reasons, at least he knows and likes and trusts Ramon, my friend John Jantz. I'll shout him out, right? Duct Tape Marketing, his book. I forgot where I put his book at. But anyways, he has a book coming out or came out. So John Jantz talks about, he's the one who coined that term, I think, know, like, and trust. So as you're getting closer to your potential future buyer, that's another way to increase the possibility of someone buying your business because you're building a relationship with them already. Another point. Understand what the buyer really wants. This is very important. I got this from my buddy John Warlow, who has a whole series of books about selling businesses and scaling them. Sometimes you think the buyer wants X, but they really want Y. And this is another thing, again, I'll shout out another person, Alexandra Carter, her book, Ask for More, really good book, Ask for More, all about negotiations. That's a book you want to pick up as well. But the point being is that, let's say one example that John told me is this. Let's say there's a gal selling her business. She wants X dollars for it. She wants $250,000 for her business. But you realize, you know what? Really what she wants? She wants to exit so she can take that cash and go fishing with her husband and fish out into the sunset. That came out weird. I don't mean like fish to the sunset. They never come back, like they die. I don't mean that. I mean like fish out in the sunset in a good way, like, like Hallmark. You know what I mean? Sometimes I twist my words. I don't even know what I'm saying. But anyways, you get my point. So they go out into the sunset, but like they come back, the next day. So the point being is that she wants that. That means the 250 is a bargaining thing. She wants it, but maybe you offered her 200 in cash, like a bag of cash, like in the movies. You know what I'm saying? That she says yes. So you get what I mean. And I'm not trying to say screw anybody or treat anybody bad. I don't mean that. What I mean is get to understand, what do people really want? I recall I worked at the United Nations at some point until they fired me. And I recall we had a contract, I think it was with Staples, for example. I think it was Staples. And Office Depot would keep coming by, hey, we'll give you 2% off, 1% off, we'll give you a discount. And I kept saying no. Because at the time, the discount wasn't important to me. I wasn't going to switch my contracts, do more paperwork just for a discount. You feel me? So my point being there is that these are the kind of things you understand. Why? What's really behind that? 3 more minutes to go. So that's understanding what the buyer really wants. And part of it is, do they want your intellectual property? Do they want your platform? Is it something special you built? Do you have a customer base they want? They don't care about your platform. They're going to delete it. They just want your customer base. Understand what they really want. This is very important to understand. And I think the most important thing to understand in all this, as we go through this discussion, I can go on and on and on about building businesses, is understand why you're doing it. And keep in mind, you don't have to sell your business. Maybe you're going to go into a joint venture. Maybe there's something else the buyer wants or seller wants. Maybe there's something else you want. Maybe you're doing a hybrid opportunity. And again, we're in a digital conference here, right? Maybe it's the domain they want. Maybe it's the customers they want. Maybe it's the products they want. Maybe it's access to your vendors they want. Maybe it's access to your brand they want. There could be a number of things that people want. And this is important to understand. So as I was saying, build your systems and processes in place. That's the only way to be scalable. And ask yourself, can this buyer plug and play? Think about how tightly is your brand aligned with the company. I know in my case, yes, Ramon Ray is tightly aligned to Smart Hustle. Be absolutely clear on who your customer is. Focus on building relationships. Even before the person even knows you have something to sell them, build the relationships. Have a clear understanding what the buyer wants. And definitely Alexandra Carter's book about negotiations will be very helpful with that. Understand what they really, really want. And understand, most importantly, what do you want? And try not to let ego get in the way. Listen, this has been great. I'm trying to leave a minute or two. I'll roll with you, Christina, for a bit, see how you want to do this. But I know time is short. I want to make sure we stay on track. But as I said, DM me best books on Instagram. If I can send you my list of top 10 best books. We talked about distractions as well. Somebody counted that. Guess what? You can DM me the word distractions. I talk about that as well on Instagram. So Christina, I'll turn it back to you. I hope this served the audience well. We'll see what you say.
I thank you so much, Ramon. I'm jittery because you've pumped me with so much energy and electricity and compliments. So thank you very much for that. We do have a few questions, but the one that comes to my mind, which is probably sitting on everybody else's mind, it seems like you're a one-man band. You probably have a staff, but you predominantly it's managed by you. How do you go about thinking about hiring the skills you need or bringing in the skills you need? Because even though you might be a Swiss Army knife, you only have a certain amount of hours a day to run your business. How would you approach that, or how do you guide those challenges, those headwinds as an entrepreneur?
Sure. First of all, you're incorrect. In New Jersey, where I live, there's a certain town that we have 28 hours in the day. So that's not true. There's 28 hours. Just teasing. But really how I do it. So I am a team of one, but actually our team is five contractors. So I hope maybe that's a helpful way to answer it. If it is, I'll be brief. Smarthustle.com, because we're all in tech and media, right? So I'll open my books a bit. Smarthustle.com, we're a media company, blog as it were. A lot of our money is from sponsorships, ads, things like that. Ramon speaking, things like that, content play. So I have my executive assistant, and calendaring is what she does largely, project management and client services. So that's her role. 2, we have a marketing manager, we have a video editor, a graphics designer, and then I outsource. When I do events like this, I outsource that to another small business person, and she handles that. So if I want to do 3 events a year, 4 events a year, 1, I just say, hey, Liz, I take care of the content, the guts of it, but she can take care of running it, kind of like we're doing here. So I hope that was helpful. I wanted to be brief, but that's a little bit inside how I run my business.
Yeah, well, it speaks to how entrepreneurs have their own ecosystem of other entrepreneurs and lifting each other up with those types of contract services that help them thrive. And speaking of thriving, I did want to just give a plug to your summit that you have, I believe, a week from now or 2 weeks from now, November 10th. You are hosting an event, Survive and Thrive. It's a growth summit as well, so similar themes. But anything you want to add to just what people can expect possibly from registering and joining?
Is this like a commercial break, Christina? Like a commercial break?
Well, I just wanted to make sure that I know that you're just so full of energy. You've got a lot more to say.
I'm going to call it a commercial break.
They have a place to go and hear you say more.
Let me clear my throat, because I'm going to do it as a commercial. Ladies and gentlemen, join Ramon Ray at the Survive and Thrive Smart Hustle Conference, November 10th. 5 hours of live content because we love Flippa. Smarthustle.com. No, thanks, Christina. Smarthustle.com. People can sign up for free. Great event. I've done it the 4th year doing it. So thank you so much.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Ramon. You've been an absolute joy to have and speak and bring us all energy. We will be doing a blog for every session on Own Your Future today, and we will include a whole plethora of information that and sources, Ramon, that you shared, and including your Instagram and other references that you made. So thank you very, very much.